Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm rolling forward. Like I said, I'm going to keep the content coming every week. Now, this week vlog, I did a podcast interview, and I do have some more content, but I'm going to just post the podcast on the blog today because I didn't want to put the other content on there with it because the podcast is kind of long. So I'm trying to keep the content like under an hour or whatever. So that's the blog that I'm going to upload for today. It's going to be the podcast interview I did about my book. And it's another lady on there who she brought her book too. She had been raped and molested as a child as well. And we was just talking about that. And I want to upload that because I do think that's something that we need to talk more about in the community in hopes to prevent this from happening to our children and just what we can do to kind of make things better for our kids. Oh, excuse me. So that's what the blog going to be about today. But I do have more content. I will roll out another video next Sunday as I promised. And I'm just going to try and stay consistent with that. Do me a favor. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think about the videos or what y'all think I can do better with the videos. And make sure you tell people about the channel because I am in the process of still trying to grow the channel. So now check this video out.
Now look and see. There we go.
All right. I think everybody's in now.
It's like it's a Baptist.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, you gotta come up in here. There you go, Tasha, because you lean back like she a gangster.
That's the way I like to sit, child.
I see.
Okay, we ready now.
We ready.
Okay.
Ooh, we just take us there. Straight up.
Lord
Baby.
have mercy. Lord have mercy.
The devil's in the detail.
We done went out like 3 to 5 times. We keep coming back in. I don't know if people gonna come follow us now. Because we've been out like, it's out. You
We
know,
got it up, running,
finally.
and we here.
We are here. And we're going to talk. Yeah, we finally made it. Better but not broken is the topic today. But we're going to address some.
What is that?
We're going to address. We're going to address the issue before we get into the conversation. Our guests are here, and
Give enough time.
yeah, give enough time to come in because we done went out like 10 times and came back in.
Hey, Tamika.
Yeah, Keosha, Tamika, Kay. Hey y'all, we can see y'all comments even better. Yeah, we can see everything, so you can ask the guests questions as we get into the topic. Better not broken, but we want to talk about some things first, and then we'll get off into the conversation of the topic that's at hand. She said, well, hey.
Now, you gotta get that shout out to that young lady again.
Hey, Kiara. Hey, Kiara.
Was that Kiara with was it Simply 10?
Oh, that's Amber at Simply 10. If
Yeah.
something on Brainerd Road, I forgot the address.
2018.
2018 Brainerd
Yeah.
Road. Across the street from Walmart. She told me to get her a shout out. Shout out, everybody. Share the live. Tell a friend to come in. We got something to talk about today. You said I got my stacks over here. You know. So yeah. You excited this Sunday?
I'm ready.
You ready? I'm ready too. I'm ready too. I am. I'm ready. I'm ready. We are here. There go Marquita. Hey Marquita. She's coming in. We can see you. Thank you for joining us. Snacks for you. It says snacks for you, friend.
Who was that?
Marquita.
Hey,
Ashton.
Marquita.
Ashby. Hey Ashton. You have to say hey Ashton too.
I think, is that Ashton that used to work at Regis?
I don't think so. I don't know.
That's her. She's so sweet.
So hello. Marquita said, hey. TP's and watching Tracy. What's up, Trace? TPZ. What's up, TPZ? TPZ. Look, so we finally got everything fixed, so we good now. So, hey. So look, let's talk about the elephant in the room, because I did make a post this week about addressing some things, and so let's address it. So there was some comments made to us about some of the stuff that we posted on Facebook on a particular podcast, and so we were contacted. Here's my thing. My thing was I wanted to go live and address it, but
You're gonna be nice about it.
yeah. So we decided, the party reached out to us, and as adults, we talked about it and we made amends, which is the main thing that we wanted to do, was to make amends with people, because I don't like going live with people or trying to downplay people or talk about people. So the party reached out to us, and we made amends, and so therefore there was no need to release any names or address the issue anymore, because it is what it is, right? Would you agree?
Absolutely.
And in this time that we live in, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But what I say is, you're entitled to your opinion, but also make sure you have a conversation with people. It's okay to disagree, but have that conversation. Everybody's deserved a conversation. If you don't like something I do or something I say, then reach out to us. There are ways you can reach out to people, but reach out and have that conversation with people. What the thing is, people are entitled, once again, but again, have that conversation. Everybody's due a conversation to have. As adults, as people of color, we lack conversation. Have the conversation with people. Don't just get mad at somebody because they don't agree with what you say or agree with the way you move, but have that conversation. Just like when we started our podcast, we had a conversation. There were things that we didn't agree with. There were things that we agreed upon, but we had a conversation and we made it fit to what we wanted it to be.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So everybody deserves that conversation. We have to do it. We have to make it better. We have to talk about it. I mean, the thing is, we want to fight and do all this. It's not even necessary. Everybody is due a decent conversation. It's okay to stand 10 toes down. Stand 10 toes up too, but have a conversation.
Well, why 10 toes up?
I don't know. Put them up. I mean, 10 toes up. But nevertheless, have that conversation with people. Make it right. The thing is, we lack communication skills. We don't know how to talk to people, and we lack accountability. So we have to man up, step up to the plate. I appreciate for the party reaching out to us. They took accountability. They took responsibility of their actions. They made amends to the situation. So with that being said, we're ready to move on and get where we need to be. Would you agree? I agree wholeheartedly. All right, we got all that out the way. Today's topic we're talking about is battered but not broken. Battered but not broken. These are two women who I come to know, and they have stories to tell us. And so they're here. Keosha Brewster Holloway is here, and then we have Tasha Cook. Both of these phenomenal women, both of these women have books out. Tasha has Breaking the Cycle, which she will go over that with us in regards to her book, on how you can purchase the book, what's the book about. We're going to talk about that. And then Keosha has a book, Diary of a Healed Black Woman. Diary of a Healed Black Woman, because it's some black women got things going on, but she's going to talk about that. And then she has this journal and book of Chasing Him. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome both of these ladies to our podcast. Let's talk about it.
Yes. Wait, because Miss Tasha Cook is no longer Tasha Cook. So, Tasha, introduce yourself, please.
Oh, my name is Tasha Cook McDade.
Tasha Cook McDade. Okay,
McDade,
sorry
yeah.
about that, Mrs. Tasha Cook McDade. Okay, thank you for joining us, ladies. Thank you for taking time out your busy schedule to talk to us about some of the things that you all went through and how you all overcome it. Just want to dive right in. We're talking about better but not broken. And Mrs. McDade, I want to start with you. You were molested. Okay? There is a difference between molestation and rape. Okay? Tell us your story. And then we'll go to Mrs. Keosha Holloway, who was molested and raped. Okay? So, Mrs. McDade, we'll start with you. Where did it start? When did it start?
Well, really the difference in being molested
Okay.
and rape is usually molestation is with children.
Okay.
It's like inappropriate touching, like touching your private area,
Mm-hmm.
them trying to get you through oral sex,
Okay.
any type of inappropriate sexual behavior that may
Okay.
may occur.
Okay.
And so what else you asked me? Look, I went blank.
That's okay. When did it start with you?
I don't remember the exact date because I blocked it.
Okay.
So I was in between 9 and 11.
Okay. 9 and 11 is when this happened. And was it done by a family member?
Yes, it was done by my cousin.
By your cousin. And how did it, I shouldn't say,
How did it affect you?
yeah, how did it affect you at being that young, between 9 and 11, being molested by your cousin?
Wait, first, let's go back to was a adult made aware of what took place?
Mm-hmm.
And when an adult was made aware, did anything come about it?
Yes and no. So what happened was that day he was at our house and we were wrestling all day. And so we ran around, we wrestled, and because my mama just liked to wrestle, it was just one of her things. So we ran around, we wrestled. So my mom and her boyfriend said they were going to the store, and so she asked him to watch us while he went to the store, while she went to the store. So we had bunk beds, and my sister was on the bottom and I was on the top, and he got on the top with me. And then he pushed me up against the wall where I was up against the wall and he was on that side. And so he put his hand over my mouth and he put his hand in my pants. And so I started kicking, like trying to let my sister know that. Well, at first I looked confused because I was like, what the, I was confused. So I started to kick, and my sister, she didn't never say nothing. So, by the grace of God, my mama ended up coming right back. I'm glad. How some people say they go to the store and they be gone back. She did. Whatever she went and done, she came right back. So when she came through the door, of course I was crying and stuff. So he jumped off the top bunk and ran out the door past my mom. And so of course I came running behind, hollering and crying. And I told her what happened, and she asked my sister why she didn't say nothing. And my sister said she thought that we was still wrestling because we had been wrestling. And so they went to look for him, but they didn't find him. But the no part is they didn't call the police. You know what I'm saying? And then he went on to molest somebody else and went to jail for a long period of time and stuff like that. But that's why I say we can't keep sweeping that stuff under the rug because had my mama put him in jail for what he done to me, it could have prevented the other child from
Going through the same thing.
Going through the same thing. Okay. So he went from you to another child.
And if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't just one.
Right.
But he ended up doing something and getting caught and ended up going through.
So is he still incarcerated at this
No,
time?
he's out.
Okay. So being the fact that he's out now and probably around other kids, have you spoken back with your mom like, hey, I'm trying to see how I can put this because I don't want to call any names because maybe he's changed and maybe he hasn't, but have you seen him since he's been released?
Yeah.
Is he around other kids?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Right, okay.
I don't think so.
And do you think other people should be aware of who this person is so that it won't happen to their child? Maybe he's dating someone with kids, or do you feel like everybody deserves a second chance at life?
Well, I'm not the judge or the jury.
Okay.
But I don't know because I'm nowhere near him. Of course, ain't nobody gonna come near me, so I can't really tell you nothing about where he's at this moment.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
like far as what he's doing, I don't think so, but I don't know either. So I don't know.
So how did it affect you?
Well, of course, I was traumatized. It's traumatizing. It was confusing because I couldn't understand why the adults weren't talking about it no more. It's like once I stop crying, it's like I think silence can be misinterpreted because I think once I stopped crying about it, my mother thought that I was okay. That's what I think.
So who dropped the ball? Do you feel that your mother played a big part in?
Of course, because there's nothing I can do. I'm a child.
Right.
So
even as an adult, do you feel it's something that you can do a lot more now than you done in the past to prevent this happening to another child?
well, it wouldn't have been nothing I could have done to
At that
prevent
time.
because I was a kid.
Absolutely.
So it's not like I was grown. I couldn't do nothing. So of course the responsibility when something happens to a kid is on the mother. Because I didn't have a father. My father, he killed his brother. So he was in jail. And so I didn't have a daddy.
So it's just a single parent household, which is where a lot of molestation goes on in single parent households. We don't get back to your man, Miss Kiyoshi. We gonna come to you, baby.
Because you were raped and molested. So we got the role of when Tasha said she was molested. Let's talk about the rape part. You were raped and molested.
Two different occasions.
Two different occasions.
Right.
Okay. Tell us what rape is. Let's start there. Tell us what rape is.
Rape is penetration. So
Okay.
when a perpetrator penetrates your
Private area.
your genitalia,
Okay.
that is deemed rape.
Okay. That's deemed rape. So tell us what happened with your story. Because you were, like I said, you were raped and molested.
At 9, I was molested by a distant family member.
Okay.
That experience, I feel, opened me up to what later happened when I was 14. And so being molested at 9 without a clear understanding of what this looks like and what this even means, it was easy to be manipulated.
Yeah.
Mine was not somebody actually touching me, but just doing sexually inappropriate things in front of me so that I, as just a child running around in a nightgown, that was sexually arousing him, and he would do things to himself. So being a kid and somebody can manipulate that, oh no, it's nothing like that, and especially since you didn't touch me, it doesn't make me feel as nasty as maybe if you would have touched me. And so seeing something so inappropriate at 9 and not fully understanding it, when I got older, I wasn't able to understand what sex actually meant, how it works in your life. Is it supposed to feel good? Is it supposed to feel bad? Is it supposed to feel good for the woman? Is it just for the man? Never getting anybody talking to me about that. You know, nobody wants to talk to a 9-year-old about sex. Nobody wants to talk to a 10-year-old about sex.
What's the appropriate age to talk to kids about sex and inappropriate touching?
Well, let me stop right there because back in our days, I don't think I was too much or wanted to know so much about what goes on in the bedroom. That was not my thing. So I think we're speaking of this is for my generation. For my generation, I don't think we were actually taught sex, until we got older. Right. Like when
we had to figure it out.
Right, we had to figure it out. Right. And a lot of my classmates got children. In school, but we didn't really talk about it. But again, what's a good age for that?
For me, as a mentor,
right,
and somebody who works in our school systems in an elementary school, I do not think 9 is too young.
Okay.
I think that in a day and age where our children have cell phones and access to social media, that a lot of times parents are not governing. They're not watching to see what your child is watching. Your baby could be on an innocent website and something just pop up. Now, I've had a 7-year-old, her whole family comes to me for counseling for this 7-year-old because she's addicted to porn. She's 7 years old. Now, most people will say she's 7. Why are you even talking to her about sex?
Right.
Well, we live in a society where sex is everywhere.
That's right.
When we were young, Martin and Gina, we never saw them have sex or lay in the bed.
Yeah.
Now, you got Love and Hip Hop, where they ain't never having sex on TV. So society pushes us to be more responsible in our response to our children.
Okay.
So I would say whenever you are sitting down with your child, if your child is 6 and your child has certain questions, I think you can talk to them about it. Maybe it looks age appropriate, so you may not say certain words to them. But I do not think anybody is too young not to expose your child to it. I'm not saying just tell them about it, but when you start to notice things about your children and things that they are into, I don't think it's too young. 6 is not too young to have conversations about my body. I just did a class with babies that was 5 to 9 to tell them about good touch, bad touch, and how you own ownership of your body.
Absolutely.
If I don't teach a baby that she can't tell an adult no when she's a baby, how is she gonna know when she's a teenager?
That's true.
If I never said it when she was 6, hey, you don't. Every adult can't touch you. Every adult has no right to put their hands between your legs, to wipe you when you go to the bathroom. When I worked in daycare, we would talk to tell them, hey, Miss Kiosha's about to help you wipe. But if we get sometimes as adults, we think, I gotta tell you nothing. I'm grown. I can touch you wherever I want. And that gives children a false sense of ownership of their body. So I think no matter how young they are, as the adult in that space, just teach them about ownership of their own self.
Absolutely, I agree. Tasha, you have a daughter. How old is she?
I got $2.
$2.
29 and 11.
29 and 11. So the 29-year-old, did you ever have that conversation with her? And at what age did you have that conversation with her?
She probably was about 19.
19. Because at a certain age they start growing, you know.
Well, here's the thing: if you don't have the conversation with them, how they can get manipulated.
Okay.
Like even when I had my first daughter at 14, I didn't know what sex was.
Right.
And so I was dating an older guy, and I only knew what he was telling me. And so if they don't know, lack of knowledge, you know what I'm saying, you can easily, somebody just tell you whatever they want to tell you. And so you got to tell them something, or the world will tell them, and you don't.
You don't want the world to tell you.
And then,
right, yeah.
life didn't come with instructions, so how can we say what's the right age? We're going to find it there.
I agree.
It's
So
just a
we go
personal,
from
it's just a personal thing,
Yeah.
you know.
I don't
And
think
I
it's
talk
too
to
young.
Taylor and Berger now, but I don't say sex. I say nobody should be touching you inappropriate on your private.
Who is Berger?
My grandson.
Grandson, okay.
Or putting anything in your mouth. 'Cause, you know, I couldn't leave that out.
How old is he?
Berger is 9, Taylor 11. But I've been talking to them since they was probably about 6 and 7.
Okay.
Just to let them know if something don't feel right. And I told them, I don't care if it's your mama, your dad, I don't care who it is.
That's a conversation.
Come and let me know, because, you know, now the family is the ones that get the children. Because that's who people be comfortable leaving with.
Right, is the family. I remember my mother telling my sisters now at a young age, don't sit between the grown man's legs.
Never,
And don't sit in the grown man's lap, because it can start with molestation there, you know, sitting in their laps, you know, sitting between their laps, you know, and I don't think enough parents tell their children that now, you know, at a certain age, you have to dress your child appropriate.
It depends on the person. Because my granddaddy, let me tell you something, I was all on my granddaddy. That was like my daddy. And I'm on his lap, on his head, in his bed.
Well, see, that's different. That's your grandfather.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much who was raising you. Am I correct? Okay.
Yeah.
That lends itself to what she said about our family. So if I'm that comfortable with my granddad, but if my granddad is sick, I'm in his bed because I trust my granddad, right? And I've interviewed women that it was their father. This is my daddy, right? I'm gonna sit in my daddy lap. That's not abnormal. And those are sometimes the most dangerous places, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I think that the most important thing is being able to give our children a voice. They have to know that I'm gonna listen. I'll hear you. It may be my husband, right, or my father, and I don't want to hear that. And that's what children are afraid of. If I tell them my dad, my mama gonna put me out.
But
She ain't
also,
gonna believe him.
it's up for the parents, because you can, you need to be praying for discernment where you can kind of tell what's going on. Some people you could be around and see something ain't right with them. You know what I'm saying? And then when it's a child interacting with a male, I'm watching my kid. I'm not leaving them. Like, you gotta be paying attention to the signs, especially when you got, and I watch everybody. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's their parents. If it's Burger Mama, Daddy, I'm still paying attention. You gotta pay attention and watch for signs, because usually signs when people have those type of, you know what I'm saying, pedophile behaviors, you can kind of tell. And
Sometimes.
What are the signs? Like, what are the signs that
you could just
you would look for?
like how they looking at the kid. Do they look like they, you know what I'm saying? Is they watching them? Is they following them? Do they look like they got lust in their eyes? Do they? And then I watch what they do with other people. Like, say they not talking to your kid, they like younger girls and stuff like that. Then you be like, hold up, you like her? You 20 something years old? She.
So do you think an older man that's maybe 50 dating someone that's 30 or 20, do you consider them as a pedophile? Do you think?
Well, you can't because they're grown. But I think it's a questionable because usually someone 50 got kids 30. So you want somebody your daughter age or somebody your daughter went to school with.
Okay.
That don't seem a little off, you know, and then not only that, think about how your child will feel if you came and married somebody your oldest daughter graduated.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? That could kind of break up the trust and the in the household. It kind of make your kids start looking at you a different type of way. You know what I'm saying?
I get
So
it.
I personally wouldn't do that.
So because that situation took place with you and Kia, I'm trying to get back to you. How has that changed you? Like, tell me what you do now that your parents didn't do for you that you now do with your kids to prevent that from taking place.
Oh, pretty much everything.
Everything.
I mean,
So you just I won't call it overprotective, but you just have your guards up around any and everything.
they don't get to spend a night. Neither one of my kids is allowed to spend a night
Of
at
nobody's house.
Nobody.
That's,
Ain't
I
going
agree.
over nobody's house. Ain't no, oh, this my friend.
Keo, should do your kids go over to friends' houses? Is it parents that you know that you trust?
Yeah, it's generally people that I know, and they weren't little when they were spending the night with people. They weren't 6 or 7. They probably started going over to people's house when they got about 9, 10, and it's probably the people we always around, and we got kids the same age. Because what I didn't never want is to paralyze my daughter with my fear. I didn't want her. I didn't want that for her, because I don't distrust the whole world. I think that there are kind people. There are people that won't hurt my child. One of the things I tried to always do with both of my children is just give them a voice. I needed them to know I was there. My family was there for me through whatever I ever went through. I ain't never had to go look outside of them. They've always been there, an amazing support system through whatever I went through. And so I wanted to get after my kids because I knew life is mean and it's bad and it's horrible. And I just wanted them to know if you out there and something happens, anything, I don't care if you at school and if you feel uncomfortable, just know here is where you can go and I'll listen.
Yeah. Okay. I want to give out some of the pointers that, and this is just talking to some people, individuals who've been through some of the things that you guys went through as forced molestation. One of the things that they look for in the man is someone that the perpetrator usually looks for a family that is somewhat not together. Like the mother's probably a dysfunctional family, and it's always
vulnerable.
Yeah. Most men like that. Not all. I didn't say all, but a lot of molesters deal with kids. They deal with kids, and we can go back and forth on that. You gotta look for things. What else did this young lady tell me? She believed that she was molested so many times by her stepfather because her mother never sat down and had that conversation with her. She was always at work, and it was just something that she didn't think. The stepfather pretty much knew the mother, right?
Right. He had a clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That was his attention.
It goes back to what they were saying. At what age do you have that conversation? You know, her mother is busy. She's not there. So, of course, you know, she's not having that conversation with her. So that makes her more vulnerable now. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because the mother is not listening. And I think we talked about that when we spoke with that young lady about, you know, the jobs, you know, and this, you know. We talked a lot about that. But if the mother is not listening, you know,
and then when you come back, you need to be asking what y'all been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and sometimes the parents not making excuses for them, because Kentrell has he gets so upset when I say the mother plays, the mother, father, whoever has custody of you plays a big part in your upbringing and making sure that these things don't take place. But oftentimes the mother is pretty much raising you how she was raised. And a lot of times back in the days they didn't have them kind of sources. They didn't know how to talk, how to
didn't have voices.
They didn't have, yes, absolutely.
They wasn't allowed to speak. They
right.
Yeah, I think Maya Angelou said that when she was raped and molested, she was silent for like 20 years because she felt like it took her innocence from her. It took her voice from her. And she said that then she later found out that her molester was ended up dead, and she thought by her being silent may have killed him, and so she was afraid to speak for all those years. With that being said, should children always speak?
Yeah.
And parents should always listen?
Yes.
Now the new generation,
No.
it's a lot different. New generation
They don't have integrity.
Some are often just out in the wind.
Out in integrity.
And it leaves the child open to molesters.
Well, half of them are traumatized from different reasons.
And that's like the generational thing. It's happened for years and years and years, and we swept it up under the rug. And it's like when somebody cries wolf, nobody wants to listen because we swept it up under the rug so long. And it goes back, way back to slavery time when our ancestors and our family members were getting raped, and nobody listened to them.
Well, people is too concerned with how it makes somebody look, and that's what annoys me.
Okay.
Like when you come out about, well, why you talking about your mama? Like, how am I talking about my mama? Because I'm telling my this
Your
is
story,
what happened to me. I had to live through this.
Yeah, you're not actually
I
saying
had
that
to process this. I had to go through it. I attempted suicide. I had a child at 14. All of this was a backlash of what happened to me. And so the black community is all about, you don't tell what's going in the household,
Right.
don't say nothing
Right,
that shines the family. They're more concerned with that than you being able to release your trauma and get help from it.
So if you can go back now and can sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with your mother, what would you tell her? No, if you had that option, what would you tell her? What would you say? Go back to when you was a child. Like, what would you have wanted to say to her then that you couldn't have, but now you've grown?
I said everything I wanted to say.
Okay, so what would you say now that'd be different than what you said in the past?
Well, that's a tricky question.
You know it, right? Because you said everything that you needed to say back then.
And not only that, I know mentally she wouldn't be able to digest
All of
me
that,
in hindsight if I was to go back and try to address some of the things because of some of her own trauma. It's not going to allow her to deal with it in real time. So it'll be kind of like a round in a circle type conversation.
So by you saying that mentally, can you hold her accountable for something that mentally she was not able to process, understand, or just wasn't able to deal with? Can you still hold her accountable?
Oh yeah, you're going to be held accountable either way. Because when you birth kids, they're your responsibility. Who else's responsibility is it besides
But if
him?
she's not mentally able,
Then that'll be between her and God. You know what I'm saying? I gave her grace for it because I understood that she had trauma too. But she's still accountable for it.
Demetri just said parents should always have an open line of communication with their kids.
absolutely, I agree.
And I think a lot of parents don't have it. Did you, when you went through your molestation and rape, was there an open line of communication with you and your?
The only issue with that was at the age that I was, and I knew what it made my family feel like. My family is super close.
Right.
We see each other every week, all the time.
What the perpetrator when you were 9? Was it 9? Is he still in the family today?
He's deceased.
He's deceased. Okay.
When I thought about, I always had an open line of communication. I could always talk to my family about what I was feeling. But when I was raped, one of the things that I struggle with is that my family wasn't there. So my fear was always their guilt that they wasn't there. It wasn't their fault that they weren't there. I wasn't with them. I was with somebody totally different. But I felt like every time I would have a
How old were you when you were raised?
14.
14. So at 14, it's still your mother's responsibility. Where were you?
It was a responsibility, but I was given. So back then I used to sing. So I sung all the time.
You got an amazing voice. I
And,
forgot all that
and
you
then this guy who was my producer, who had been my producer for a little while, and he was like our family friend. He never would let anybody hurt me. He was very protective, and we trusted him after so long. And I was giving to him to go record an album somewhere else.
Okay.
So when I left, I'm communicating with my mama, letting them know where I am. I'm safe. He's talking to them, but that abruptly stopped. But I'm a kid. I can't go back home. I don't have a way back home. I'm here with you. And
So the communication between you,
me and my family stopped.
stop.
Because back then we had these things, and I'm old. We had these things called phone calls, so you couldn't call. You couldn't just pick up a phone and dial out of town number. So I'm at 615. You couldn't just dial an out of town number without the phone having long distance. So where I was staying with him, it didn't have long distance. So when we got there, he bought me a phone call. I could call my mom when I first got there, call my family, but then he took it. So it started where this person was this trustworthy person. All the time they weren't. The whole time they were somebody else. They was a monster at the end of the day. And so being away from them, I can't get in contact with my family. I'm left at the devices of this person as a child, and you're afraid.
So when did that incident took place? It took place when you was 14. This is when you were out of town. And it was by your producer or
One of his friends, his roommate.
Roommate.
And I never knew he had a roommate. I probably was there about 3 days when this white gentleman came in the house. Scared me to death. Who are you? I've been here by myself with just him. And that day, the producer asked me for something sexual at 14. And I was disgusted. And I look at you like my uncle and my friend. So my response was very brash. Like, who you talking to? Like, are you joking? Because at 14, I knew what certain things were.
Right.
I wasn't like in school, boys talking about certain things like that. And so when I gave him this angry response, I didn't know that was a domino effect. That what he was gonna do next, which was tell the roommate, you can do whatever you want to her. I'm finna leave. I'm not knowing this. I'm sitting there watching TV, and out of nowhere, I get hit, hair pulled, he dragging me. This white man, for him, all I knew I was dying, because he was calling me the N-word. I mean, just such vitriol for a stranger. I don't know you. And I'm a child. It's in the summertime. Everybody else having a good time, and I'm thinking I'm gonna be Brandy. I'm gonna be the next Monica. I'm finna be famous. So my family is trusting this person to keep me safe,
So how many miles?
and they didn't.
How far were you away from your mother at this time?
Oh Lord, how far is Murfreesboro? A little bit past Murfreesboro, about an hour and a half. And back then, they didn't have a car. Like we're putting our trust in this man who seems flashy. And when you back then, Brandon, Monica, all these people, I have an opportunity to be them. So if you poor, and we come from Willow Home Projects, I have the opportunity, my child can be them. Who ain't doing it? Who's not doing it? It puts me in the mountain. That's why I get shell shocked when I would see Survivor R. Kelly. All of these parents that were putting their children in certain situations, that a lot of them it was negative. But for us, we trusted this human. And to have me come back in the shape that I came back in, the way that I was.
So after that took place,
Mhm.
I mean, how much time was there in between before you actually got back to your mother, and who was notified?
The next day, let's say this happened that night.
Okay.
The next day, he told me to go take a bath. I didn't take a bath. I was smart enough not to take a bath. I just ran the water. And that's how they were able to determine it. It
So he brought
actually
you
was
back
him
to
on a
Chattanooga.
Greyhound bus. He didn't bring me
He
back.
didn't bring you
He
back.
put me on a Greyhound bus. And I came back to Chattanooga. The bus driver of that bus saw me bruised up. He called the authorities, and then my family met them.
So was
there.
the guy ever charged?
Yes, he was charged. We had to go back and forth out of town, and so he was charged there. However, However, people don't take rape seriously. That's never that the time you gonna get for. I don't care if you had a gun on the child. It doesn't matter. There's a small amount of time that you get. So whatever he would have got, it wouldn't have been good enough. But his attorney was able to. Unfortunately, me being 14 wasn't enough, right? So you have an attorney that is able to say, well, she's 14. How we know she didn't want it? She's 14. I even had a counselor back then who asked me, what color pajamas did you have on when you were sitting in that chair? Maybe that triggered him like a bull almost.
Well, how old was he? Do you remember? Do you
Oh,
know?
probably 41, something like that.
So
he
even
was
if he was 41, 30, you was still a child.
I was a child.
You were still a child.
And the attorney was able to get him 8 years.
8 years.
And he had terminal counsel. They tried to use that to say his medication did something to him, and that's why he did what he did. But when I got home, when I was safe, and I'm healing, I'm going through everything I'm going through, and now it's time to go back to school, and I'm going to school, and I'm not talking about it, I'm not saying anything to my friends or anybody like that. I didn't want to say too much at home or be too sad because my family was already sad. They always protected me. If my uncles would have been up there, somebody would have been dead. If my mama would have been up there, somebody would have been dead. And so their psychological trauma was, I couldn't keep her safe. We always keep her safe. And so I learned to just not talk about it because I didn't want to hurt anybody further.
Being molested and raped, oftentimes women or children who are molested and raped act out in a sexual way. Did that have any effect on you? Did you act out in a sexual way?
I didn't act out in a sexual way in terms of me going out to do that. However, if I was put in a situation, me and a guy going to the river park, where we going? If I'm put in a situation where sex is an option, I'm not gonna say no because I'm afraid of what might happen. This guy may not be on it. He may not be about to hurt me, but I don't know if now if we get here that you're not gonna make me do it.
Tasha, being what took place with you as a child, did you act out in a sexual way?
I attempted suicide. I tried to hang myself.
So are you? I know now you've gotten counseling. You turned out to be a great person. I mean, you've married, got your own home, steady job. What advice can you give now to someone at a younger age that's holding on to molestation or being molested in their home and afraid to speak out? What advice would you be able to give them now?
You saying to a kid or an adult that's been molested?
Either or.
Because really,
you still got adults that are holding on to things that took place with them in the past because they're afraid nobody will believe in them. So what advice either or would you give them?
Well, to an adult, you can't heal for something you won't release and talk about.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't. Healing doesn't come that way. In order for you to heal, you have to be open to be feeling those feelings, because it's going to be a lot of grief and shame and stuff that comes from opening up about your experience. But it's no way to work through that if you never address it. So that's one thing. Also, it's gonna affect your relationships that you have with other people. If you ever meet people that's always, you don't have to do nothing to them, they snapping out, they flipping out, they going in and out, today they happy, tomorrow they having all these different mood swings. It usually stems from a lot of trauma that they haven't dealt with.
Yeah.
And so,
what advice would you give to an adult or a younger child that's going through this and want to talk about it but afraid?
Do it. It took me years to talk about my abuse. I didn't start talking about it till my late 20s. After hearing so many women tell me their stories, I got the courage to say, man, that happened to me too. So, it's terrifying. I know you're scared. Whoever you are, I know you're scared. It's terrifying. I know you're going to lose some folks. It's going to happen. You're not going to have those relationships, but you're going to be free. It's going to free you. Not only is it going to free you, but it's going to free everything attached to you. When I told my story about domestic violence, that's when I found out my grandma had been through, my mom. None of my family ever talked about this. We never talked about it until I was brave enough to say, this is what I went through. And then it
And
came out and
your
it
book.
said,
Which book did you
So there's a question right here. She said, over the years, how did you ladies learn how to forgive your predator and move forward with your lives?
did you learn how to forgive?
Yeah, how did you learn? How did you learn how to forgive?
Forgiveness is something that you do for yourself and it's in your heart and it's between you and God. A lot of people confuse forgiveness with reconciling. They
Mhm.
think you got to talk to the person. Or you don't have to do that. That's just releasing the resentment in your heart. So, but you have to, because if you're not, you're going to be discombobulated, you know. So
Okay.
that's something you got to do.
I have a different take on it. I didn't forgive him, and I don't to this day. But it didn't. My unforgiveness of him caused me to write books and heal other women. That was my way of doing it. I never felt. For me, you needed to be sorry for me to forgive you, and you weren't. You did what you did to me intentionally. I don't. He don't control my life though, right? And if he did control my life, he controlled it in a positive way.
Got it.
Because of what you did to me, I set a lot of other women free, and I don't. I think that everybody's journey is different. To Miss Bailey, everybody's journey is different. If you went through this, through the process, you'll learn what works for you. Like however it looks. I had a lot of different advice. But what ended up working for me was having my family and friends around and writing and helping other people.
So speaking of writing, I'm going to start with you first with your book because I want to talk about it. Diary of a Healed Black Woman. It's a 12-week personal journey. Where did this book come from? What inspired you to write this book?
Well, that's my second book.
This is your first.
That's the first.
Okay, here goes the first one. How did we get here? We went from here to here. Everybody can see it.
I wrote Chasing Him.
Okay.
Out of my years of domestic violence.
And
Okay.
how can if someone wanted to
They could just inbox me, and I can meet them and give it to them. But I wrote that out of coming out of domestic violence, had been free from it for years, and got the strength and courage to do it. It's a workbook, so it also has journal writings in it. It has coloring pages. Coloring was something I did to help me process anxiety and stuff.
got it.
And then this one right here,
Diary of a Healed
Diary of a Healed Black Woman.
It is a journal. And so the women that get it, and sometimes men, I had some men that bought it as well. It's just an affirmation journal. And every day you will read your affirmations. You'll write out what the affirmation means. And it's just a book to help you get on to the other side.
Okay. Then Mrs. McDaniel, right?
McDade.
McDade, I'm sorry. She has a book as well, and it's called Breaking the Cycle, right? Tell us about your book. How can they get it?
It's on Amazon, and also you can email tashacook83@gmail.com, or you can inbox me at Keisha Howard on Facebook.
Okay. One last thing before we wrap it up. Kiosha, you have a nonprofit organization. Date My Dainties. Is that right?
No.
Am I I'm Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What is it?
It's not So You Think You Can Date.
Okay. I was in the
You
avenue.
was on there. You was on the way.
So that's a nonprofit that she
Uh-huh.
has. That she takes young ladies. She drives them throughout the United States. They do everything. She mentors them. So if they want to get in touch with you about that, how do they do that?
What ages started?
Starting from like 6th grade to senior in high school. It's a wide range of children. I tried to do 5th graders. Sometimes you just gotta meet them. I just have to meet them to know if this is appropriate, because we talk about everything. We talk about sex. We talk about molestation. We talk about masturbation. We talk about weed. We talk about everything.
The information on how they can contact you if they want to.
They can go to my page and DM me, Keosha Holloway Brewster, or they can email me. Most people probably not gonna do that. They're gonna probably DM me. You can DM me at my name, and you can also go to our our Facebook page, which is called So You Think You Can Date Mentoring Program.
I said so you can take my date. I'm sorry.
I like it.
Demetrius said, can you post it? Yeah, so they're going to post it in the comments. Both of the ladies are going to go back and post their information, where you get their books, where you can support them. They can send you all their information. Thank you, ladies, for coming to Let's Talk About It. We appreciate you sharing your story with us. We appreciate you all opening up to us, letting us in your lives, because as we do this podcast, our goal has always been to educate and inform people on what's going on and how to prevent themselves and be more aware of their surrounding, what's going on. So that's the main thing, is always be informative. So we thank you, ladies, both for it.
I also want to say, I know that we give a lot of, for me, my platform is always going to be for girls and women. But I sometimes get flack. People inbox me and say, you a man hater, because I'm always going to be on the side of the woman. It's just who I am. That's what I feel like. However, men also experience rape and molestation. Guys, if you're going through that, please, you can reach out to me. I can find you resources. Don't ever feel like you got to. I know it's kind of macho to say, you know,
so they can reach out to you as well. All right.
Okay.
Take us out.
Well, thank you all. Thank you for joining us. Next week, we have another guest on. We're supposed to be doing every 2 weeks, but it looks like we have another guest coming on. So we will update you all on we'll update you on Monday, so you can prepare for Sunday. We're going to update you every day about our guests, because it's very exciting. But again, we thank these ladies. Don't forget, they're going to post the information where you can get the books. But appreciate you all. Have a great Sunday.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye. 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 You have to say bye. Bye.
Now
I
he's
started
still
doing
hollering
it.
bye.